Have you ever thought to yourself, why doesn't the OO show have cold opens? Why don't they do the SNL famous cold open
Wow.
thing? Well, today's your day. Matt, take it away.
Wow.
It's cold. Picture
Ah,
from this morning. There's the
Wow.
driveway. Guys, let's start the show.
That's impressive.
Every morning at 8:45 Eastern, Option Omega's got your back. Troy's dreaming big like LeBron. Matt's back testing like a daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well today. Matt, how much snow do you get?
I didn't measure it in the middle of the yard, which is the proper place to measure. I'd guess maybe 4 inches. So
Okay.
it was pretty rough last night though, because I will say this, guys, I know you don't get as much snow in Knoxville, but do you usually have, when it snows, do you have a critique of people, how they drive in the snow? And if so, what is that critique?
It's universal.
Hmm.
It's universal.
What are some of the critiques in general?
Well, people say, just in general, I mean, people don't know how to drive in the snow.
Yeah, agreed.
That's right.
And I will say this, I mean, as a defense of a Southerner at this point, and Texas counts as the South. This really bothers me, and I think it's important for us to go ahead and address it right now on the show.
Yes.
Of course, we're bad drivers in the snow. We get snow once every 2 years.
Good defense. Good defense.
I mean,
yeah.
listen, if we had snow 100 days a year, like some of
Yeah.
you guys up north, we'd be
Wow.
better at driving. Just
Yeah,
in the same way,
true.
we're probably better at handling swamps.
That's
Like you guys are
definitely
probably
true.
terrible.
You're bears.
Good
You
argument.
guys are probably terrible airboat drivers.
This is 1,000%.
And who's better against bears? Handling bears.
That's
Tennessee.
this is what I'm- so last night was a first time for me though, because when it snows, I am usually the guy in the right lane, just chilling, taking my time,
Smart.
try not to fishtail. Last night was the first time ever I've actually been annoyed at how slow people were going. There were people going 3 miles an hour, and we had about a half inch of snow, and they hadn't treated the road. So it was 32 degrees. So it was slushy, but it wasn't ice. I have never been annoyed at people going too slow. And last night I was like, guys, like, I get it, but do you know how slow 3 miles an hour is? That's the speed I walk at. A 20-minute mile. Like that's a walk. Like that's like a more than a stroll, not a race walk, but that's like a
Right.
decent brisk walk, I would say, depending on how tall you are. And there were people going there were people in the middle lane of a 3-lane road, 3 miles an hour with their flashers.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining. I'm just observing, but I will just say that my other concluding thought before we get on to the show, there is nothing that is as good of a sound as the first pull of the snow thrower, the first time you fill it up on the first day of snow, and it purrs like a kitten. And I experienced that last night, and I'm so grateful. I followed the steps to winterize it. I did all the things. This is a hand-me-down snow thrower from my father-in-law, rest in peace. And it just purred like a kitten.
Wow.
And did a pass last night, came back, did another pass this morning. You know, there's some of the schools are delayed. I have one canceled, one delayed. So we're going to need the roads to function today. And listen, when you get an ice combustion and it just goes the first time, it's a great feeling, guys. We have some snow thrower experts in OO because I know we have several of our northern brethren from the northern US and north of the northern US who are probably in the chat. They are talk about experts. I know we have snowblower experts.
I'm sure Dan knows what he's talking. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what snow thrower. Like I'm dead serious. I have no idea. Now I'm an idiot, and that's
pretty modern. I mean, in the older days, not in the pits, but in the older days, I think our fathers they wouldn't think of that. It's like the shovels, because it's like, why would we miss an opportunity to tire out our teenagers?
Yeah, right? That's right.
Give them the stinking shovel. We can keep them occupied for a couple hours.
Yes.
They'll be tired.
This is true.
Get out there with the shovel. There's nothing in the more sidewalk or land you got is better, because keep those kids.
So this is what I'll equate it to.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy cutting grass. I don't love the process, but when it's done, whatever the dopamine or whatever that chemical, serotonin, what are some of the good chemicals? You get that feel.
I'm running.
A driveway. And then you can use it. It's that feeling times two.
No, you're right. It does an accomplishment. And let me say, is there a little bit of snobbishness where you're done, you've accomplished it, you've got the victory, and then you look at your neighbor who doesn't care he's going to wait till the sun melts it, which was me. And then you look at that and kind of look down at him like your opinion of him has gone down a little bit because he's not keeping up. Am I right or wrong? Is there a little bit of that?
100%.
So there might be, for some reason, before I got the snow thrower, which I've had it for several years, I finally got it going last year. I have the last driveway because of how the trees in the sun are, last driveway to get clear. And one of my neighbors, the only driveway I know of who has radiant in it, this is not common, radiant ice melt in her driveway.
Radiant what?
Ice melt. So she runs, I don't know if hers is electric or you can do it with plumbing. She can ice melt her driveway. Now you still have to shovel it first, but her driveway looks immaculate. Now my neighbor on the other side, no. But to your point, Dan, yes. And especially when it's not going to be, I think it's supposed to be freezing tomorrow. So we're going to be, listen, is December 2nd too early for a snow, guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, now it's cold and rainy here. I mean, it's not like it's 90 here, but I used to love snow until I had kids. I'm the exact opposite of everything people think about like snow. People say like, if you had, once you have kids and you see like the joy in their hearts.
Oh yeah.
Nah. Yeah. Let me get back to work. I don't want to get anyway, but I'm a Grinch and everybody knows that. I'll tell you how much of an old person I'm getting. In fact, I would want to share this. I went to the glasses. I've been having the old eye migraines with the eye pain. I go to get the vision checked yesterday evening. And do you know what they told me? Guys, do you know what they said to me? They said, it's time for progressives for you. Now, I had no idea what it means. So I had to go to the eye doctor place and they're like, progressives are when you see, and this is how they explained it to me. When you see old people who like look down and they're like reading out of this part, basically a progressive lens is like far away on the top part. And then you like go it down like this to read the bottom part.
Yeah.
And so it's happening. The other part, you guys, this will actually affect the show a little bit. I didn't realize that last time with my glasses, I didn't get the glare, the anti-glare. So that's why no one can ever see my eyes on the show. You're going to be able to see these puppies clear as day in a couple of days.
Troy,
So-
can I make, I mean, you got on a topic that, you know, maybe Matt can give us the business behind this, but this has always been kind of a thorn to me. You know, when the kids were growing up, you know, okay, they've had to get glasses. You know, half the kids were, you know, like me, bad eyes, and half were like my wife, better eyes. And you look at, you know, as you're going to go get glasses, you look, you know, 50, 60, 70% off these lenses and frames. And you're thinking they're going to be like $4 for glasses. But you know what? As I grew older, I go, it really doesn't matter anymore unless maybe you go to Costco or something. But when my daughter would go in it, it's $1,000. It just doesn't. I mean,
oh my gosh, don't get me go. Listen,
this
I'm
this
is how
I mean, it's amazing. That industry is more than what frustrates me. I was having a conversation yesterday with someone about commissions and fees and this. You know, someone was saying, well, fees are great. I said, you know what? Commissions were lower in the options business, in my opinion, 3 or 4 years ago. Once they went commission free, commissions went up.
Yeah.
You say, how is that
Yeah.
possible? Because it just, you're changing the words. There's no commissions, so you feel good, but we're going to put fees to knock you down to, you know, South Minneapolis or something. And that's what it is, right? It's just the fees. And I think with glasses, you know, I just think if there's ever a sham business in terms of how they,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Matt, give it to us.
Listen, this is how fired up I was. While we were doing that, I was looking up the ticker on OO to model buying puts on the company responsible for these shenanigans. And it's a European company.
Really?
And I don't think they have
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to have to come back to Luxottica in the future.
There's one company that's,
it's no, but yes.
But
listen, they don't have options.
This reminds me that what we need to start doing during this segment, this first 15-minute segment where we just complain about everything. What we need to start doing is I need to find like a graphic that basically like a Hardee's bag or like a Hardee's biscuit goes into whoever's mouth is complaining. And like that way it's like the Hardee's Saturday morning award. It's like if that's a good rant, the Hardee's biscuit just comes and gets in your mouth.
20 minutes to start out complaining and ranting.
I love that. I love that. Listen, we've got to move on because we got lots to talk about today, but I didn't even get to tell you about my podcast I'm listening to about Dunkirk, you know, World War II. I
miracle.
Can't even, you know, that's how, like, it's happening in real time, even from March to now. Like, this show is basically just me yelling at people and then talking about history podcasts. That's what the dream is. So anyway, so listen, we launched modeling yesterday. Big success. Lots of good things. Heard about it. Things like that. And I said yesterday at the end, the rest of the year, we want to start focusing on people who are newer to options, who are getting into this thing. This thing called trading. And a couple months ago, we had started looking at stuff that they could maybe trade in the small account, calling it the small account challenge. And we're going deep on that. But I wanted to take today and look at a trade that we actually I've been trading, and maybe look at some of this and go from there. I was about to say great comment, and then I looked up. It was just Option Omega talking. I thought that was anyway. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we're going to talk about a trade. Okay. I'm excited. Let's go. I almost started the intro again because I'm so excited. Okay. So this is the 1428 intraday VIX Down Trade.
Okay.
We obviously did this at the end of July because I haven't run it since then, except for I have in various iterations. Shout out Krog Trader. I have that in the description, and I'm thankful I put it in the description because I wouldn't know where this came from otherwise.
Shout out to you.
Krog Trader probably came up with a good concept there. So All right. What is this trade? Well, if you look at a double calendar, right? It's a 20 delta, 14 days on the short, 28 days on the long. And it's a floating entry time, so it's going to take forever to run just because it's checking every minute. I'm just going to give you the heads up on that. It's checking every minute, and so that's a lot. Open trades between 9:32 and 3:59 every day. Use the exact strike offsets. Allocate 100% of the portfolio, except for you don't, because right underneath we tell you just trade one of them because it's a small account challenge. And people say, well, you got to trade allocation. Test all the allocation stuff. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, for a $5,000 starting account, you should probably stick with one trade. I'm going to go ahead and start being a little bit more forceful with that stuff because we're trying to get more serious about getting people who are completely new to trading. And so the theory sometimes has to take a backseat to the practice, and the practice is put one on, So you put one on only when there's an intraday VIX move down of 1%. And we're going to exit the trade at 2:45 p.m. on the day of expiration for the shorts, or we're going to exit when the call goes past 1, or we're going to exit the put when it goes past 1. And we've got some opening and closing fees. Now, is that realistic or not? I don't know. You should test it. Qs are very, very liquid. It is what it is, So far, Matt, Dan, what do you guys think?
Well, I like it. I mean, at first when I saw it, because I'm constantly thinking SPX, I'm thinking, boy, for a small account challenge, that's going to be expensive. But then I looked again, and it's Qs, which is, like SPY to SPX. A couple things that come to my mind on this thing right away is when you're looking at what I've seen with mixed month trades over the years, and there could be calendars, double calendars, anything kind of that diagonal or calendar type thing. This comes to a point of saying the world of real Greeks, actual Greeks versus the real Greeks versus what appears, right?
Sure.
And how often do you look at like a double calendar or some type of trade 1 or 2 days out and say, oh my goodness, look at the theta. I'm going to be out of this trade, if it's a little bit more delta, right? You get a 25, 30 delta or, something a little more where you get a lot of theta. You're like, I'll be out of this trade by lunchtime, right? Look at the theta. But that's theoretical theta.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what I've seen, like doing calendar trades, we would do like a 15-day calendar, whether it be single or double, but a single calendar, and sell it on a Friday, buy it on a Monday, or sell it on a Thursday, sell 2 weeks out from that Friday, and at least keep 4 points, 4 or 5 days difference between the long and the short. But when there's like you're buying a Monday, selling a Friday, what happens is a lot of times it doesn't let it breathe, right? The world of real Greeks, it doesn't let that short breathe. You say, what do you mean? The long will decay just as quick. So having room between like 28 to 14 in this case, sometimes you get out quicker than the other ones, because even a shorter term, because that long doesn't have a lot of pressure on that short, right? You got to be more, when you go out this far, 1428 on a calendar, you have to be more cognizant of the volatility level, right? Like the volatility level in the market now, 17, it's fine. But I would have been more concerned about this, let's say a week and a half ago when VIX was 26, right?
Yes.
Then there's a little more Vega issues with this. But anyways, that's a thought. The only other thing on there is the 1% VIX intraday down move. Yeah, you're just saying you want a little confirmation. 1% isn't that much, right? If you take 1% on 17 VIX or 18, it's not a lot. But you're saying, hey, I want it on a day where the vol is down, right? And I think that's just prudent for getting in that type of trade. But yeah, I like this, and it's a different feel. I mean, I think in the world of diversifying your trades, this can fit, right? This is, it's a nice trade, and I think it will give you a different learning experience. If you're a newer person, you'll learn the Greeks and everything a little differently than if you're doing a 2-4, right, or something 2 days out. A lot of the price, delta and gamma are much more important, but in this, volatility is alive, right? And I think that intraday vol thing is crucial. So anyways, I didn't mean to blabber there. Sorry.
No, I think that's 100% the case. You're spot on, Dan. And the VIX move down is, like you said, 1% is not much, but what you're trying to do is you're basically trying to say, hey, let's not do this when vol's pumping, right? Because you might get crushed. Like, let's do this when you're there's two things I'm doing a video on this trade right now. And there's two things that kill a double calendar like this. One, it goes outside the tent, and then two, vol gets crushed. So what you're doing, this is real simple, is you're just trying to say, hey, let's wait till vol contracts a little bit to put this on. Matt, do you have any thoughts before we look at go even deeper with it a little bit?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. I've done QDCs off and on since we started automating. So, at this point, well over a year. And I use 3 cents slippage on mine too. And I almost always beat the back test. The risks of assignment, I saw somebody asking about that. There always is assignment risk with Qs and SPY. I've never been assigned on mine. I don't let them go deep in the money though. And especially farther out, I like this back test. I have had a journey with QDC back tests because it seems to be easier to find 10 side conditions on SPX than Q back tests. I don't know, Troy, have you? I don't know why that is.
What did you say? Easier to find what?
10 sag conditions on SPX than it is on Qs. What I mean by that is my QDC back tests, and this is obviously reflected live because they match, but when I'm building those back tests, it's harder for me to find exits to prevent 10 sags on the Qs. And that's, again, Troy, as you said, that's one of the main ways that DCs can lose movement, either too much movement or no movement, no vol crush. So that's been a journey for me. This one doesn't have one. I've actually been breaking my own rule and doing some 10 sag back testing here live on the show. And I'm unable to get a better capture rate than we've got on the screen. There probably is one out there, but it's tougher with the Qs for some reason.
Well, we'll give a call to action at the end here for the generals, for the soldiers to unite a little bit. Yeah. But I want to show you another thing. I want to go a little bit deeper because one of the things that's interesting to me, this is the same back test, and it's run from July 22nd to December 1st. Okay. And you think to yourself, well, cool. All right. I mean, just shorter dates, higher MAR, all those things. But I want to show you now, people could say, well, yeah, but that's not real life, right? Like, are you going to really let me just think about it. We're used to backtests all day where it's theoretical, where it's like, can you really make, $1,000, $1,100 in 56 trades with very small amount of capital with 5,000? And the answer is yes, because this is the real life results. Okay. I've been trading this since July. As soon as we saw this on the show, I put it on. Okay. And it's pretty close. And I can actually explain why it's not exactly the same. And the answer is simple. Sometimes I closed it early. I didn't trust the back test.
That's a pretty good explanation.
Pretty simple.
Right. And there it is, folks.
But first off, let's look at what we're talking about, because we now have a feature which allows you, if you're new to trading and you're like, I have no idea what this even looks like. What does a calendar or a double calendar look like? Well, when you're automating, or even if you have modeling in Option Omega, you just click this here. This is a live trade that I have on right now. Okay. And this is the position. This is where it is. You know, right now in the vol space with the IV around 20%, I'm okay. I'm okay, right? Now, what is Matt saying? Matt's saying that he's struggling to figure out in a trade like this, what happens if this happens? Like, how do we account for these situations where we say, you know, the vol is going down? Tent sag is another way to say it. How do we account for that? Well, hold on, Army. Hold on, Army. We'll come to you in a second. But these are the results. I've been doing a one-off, a one lot, and I, you know, have been a pretty good boy, I think, with most of it. You know, I kind of let it just roll. There, every once in a while, you get a manual user exit. Can I tell you why I did that? I don't remember. I might have been at a dentist office. I might have been high on eggnog. Who knows what I did that.
How many manual user exits are there, Troy? Can you run that filter?
I don't want to do that. No, don't worry about the filter. I don't want to be the filter. Don't worry about the filter.
I'm just wondering if you filter those out. I think you would have outperformed this.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is actually what I'm saying. I 100% would have outperformed myself if I would have trusted the backtest. Like this is an automation announcement. True. Sometimes it's really, really good to trust the backtest, right? But here's my point. Even in the midst of my, very humanness, where I didn't trust the backtest, this has still been a winning trade at a one lot, right? Now, again, you think about it, you say, well, is that returning $1,000 on $5,000 capital that good a return? Well, it's not actually on $5,000 of capital because I'm ever doing one lot, right? So I'm not investing or trading $5,000 worth of capital. I'm trading like $700 of capital. So the question is, is that a good return on investment? And I would argue, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, considering I think the Qs, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 12, 13% this year. They're up 12, 13%. I could be wrong. I could be really wrong, actually. But that's not bad. And again, this is, in my mind, a really great trade. If you're new to trading and you want to learn a little bit more complicated structures, this is a really good trade to be able to automate in Option Omega because it's running it for you. It's exiting when you need to exit. It's getting out at 245. You're learning to lose. If you're not Troy, you're learning to lose, right? And you are getting trades under your belt. And Dan has taught me through the years, this is one of the main things Dan taught me was you got to get some trades under your belt. You got to put some trades on, right, Dan?
Yeah. And I'll just say this real quick, because Troy, I don't want to blame Troy for me going off on a 10-second rant here. But to me, I thought of the word revolutionary in the sense that, when I think of new traders over the years coming in, and you're like, boy, if I could keep this student, if we could get him repeating, similar trades over and over, and we can get him to the 4 or 5 minute mark, 4 or 5 month mark, he may stick, right? It may happen. Otherwise, you may lose them if you don't get them there. Well, the problem with automation cures is the fact that in reality, and I've been teaching for a long time, is the students that will stick with a couple trades with losers for 4 or 5 months straight is a low number. You've got it. It's a battle. They don't, I don't see it. I've been teaching a lot. I don't, and every student we start out, you're going to do these 2 trades every week until the cows come home. And then, you make it your own. Automation should up the percentage of students that become successful, in my opinion, dramatically, because you can make it small enough, like Troy's saying, a small account challenge. And as Troy, the one of the better points was, you're not using the whole 5,000. And the fact that if you can stay with that for like Troy did for 4 or 5 months, that's going to give you confidence. Then you can up the size, right? So that's huge because now you're seeing it win and you're keeping yourself out of it because the new people, it's brutal to keep them from, I mean, look at Troy's experienced in the automate and he overruled it. What do you call that? Where you did
manually exit it. Yeah. I mean,
manually exited. And so I just think for new students to get off the ground and not develop bad habits because you're just trusting the thing and it's small enough where you're not going to panic, right? If it's only, what was this, Troy, a $700
about
trade?
$6. I mean, it ranges, it got up to 980.
Yeah, anyway,
but no, Dan, I mean, I think that's the point. I mean, here's what's funny about Troy's trading style. You can learn a little bit about Troy's trading style. I'm very good at letting a loss exit the right way. I'm less good about letting a winner exit the right way.
I'm there with you. I'm there.
Yeah. I'm a little chicken. But so here's the thing. You look at this. What's the worst loss? I'm looking through this list here. 24% looks like the worst loss. Okay. You lost $153 on a $636 trade. Guys, think about that esoterically for a second. That's not bad. Right. And what it shows me is that, I mean, put over, this is live trading. I'd say this is pretty good data points for starting a trade at small size. What is this showing you? It's showing you that the rails work. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and Matt's thing about like the tent. Well, I'm kind of showing you through data that like the rails are actually pretty good at getting out at a size. I mean, I don't see many. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, with the tent, what we'd want to do is filter exit at specified time and look through the losers and then try to back into a tent side condition that way.
That's exactly right. But I mean, that's
a lot of those aren't big losers. Some of them
I mean,
winners.
Yeah, the interesting thing is like this is probably the biggest one at 23%.
Yeah.
Right, $100. I mean,
are there only 5 that exited at the time?
Losers.
Oh yeah,
exit at specified time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey Troy, is there a way ever to like you have your rails, which is a main point price movement in a DC? If it goes too far past the short strike, you have 1 point either way, right? Is there any way to test it? Like, because in most of these trades, if it goes through the short strike, let's say 1 day into the trade versus going through the short strike 4 days into the trade, big difference. Is there any way to delay it and say, look at if it's 1 day, if it's 2 days into the trade, take it off. If it's 5 or 6 days into the trade, give it an extra, instead of 1 point past the short strike, give it 2 points. Because you've accumulated enough theta. Is there any way, or how would you skin the cat?
Not currently. One of the ways you could basically do a couple different tests where you set up different tests and you say, be in this trade 1 day and get out if the exit, if your puts are exited, or calls are tested or whatever. And then do a trade for 2 days, and then do a trade for 3 days, and do different time frames for tests to see.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Listen, little army, little soldiers. Here's the thing: we looked at this a couple months ago, and it was pretty good. But you guys are all better. You're battle hardened. I mean, we've done this show, for months now. So, calling all testers. You've got the link. I'll put it again in here for you. Please, by all means, make this trade better. Not for Troy's account, although I will trade it. But for people who are newer to trading and who want to get into options trading. So, Tom's correcting me. Matt, is that right? We can currently do stop loss on days in trade. That's right, probably.
Stop. What do you mean? I'm sorry. We can do
Dan's question of can you change basically the stop? Like, can you?
Yeah, you
set
can
a stop?
ratchet the time. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so then that could do, yeah. Okay. Like Tom said, yeah, that makes,
Tom.
I wasn't sure if you're talking short, long, or stop loss since we
Yeah.
got multiple.
Yeah.
but stop loss according
Yes,
to
you can
time,
adjust the
right?
stop loss. Although there's always the caveat of using stop losses on calendars in that there are
That's right.
like, remember, automation, our automation tool, and I think in general automation is doing what you tell it to do. So if you tell it to do a stop loss and there is a fake print, which happens on calendars and is going to happen more on a longer term calendar like this, then it could trigger a stop loss when there's not actually a stop loss. Just PSA.
I just recognize that we it's so hard talking about new options traders because there's so much to options. It's so much more complicated than stock trading. So let me explain one thing real quick, what Dan's talking about. Right now, if say 13 days to go in this trade.
Yeah.
If we went to the short strike is the 595 put. If we went to 595, theoretically, we'd be down about $100, right? Like, do you see that where I'm moving it? Okay.
If we went down today.
If we went down today. Now, what Dan's talking about is the way this trade works is as you go through time, that P&L graph is actually expanding, right? Assuming volatility is not going down.
That's right.
And so, now, 8 days left until the trade expires. You hit the short strike, you're down $50, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's go to where you're 4 days. Well, suddenly the short strike, you're making a little bit of money, assuming again volatility is staying constant, which, man, I wish it would sometimes. So, does that make sense to everybody? I want to try to slow it down and maybe even make it more simple for people sometimes, because Dan just had a really good point for beginners that we just kind of skipped over it. And I think it's important to remember that's the name of the game. That's why when you put a calendar on, you're not trying to be like, hey, let's go to the tent as soon as possible. You don't want that, right? You want it to actually slowly go there as time approaches. As your short is about to expire, what you want is it actually to be there, right? Or the other way you can make money is you want vol, those longer dated vol, to pump, right?
Yep.
And then you're doing really good on this trade. And that happens sometimes. You can look through, you could say, okay, let's look at the winners here. This one exited a specific time for 40% winner, right?
It's nice.
Troy kept that on.
Good job. Shout out to you, Troy.
Shout out, Troy. Now, what happened? Here's the interesting thing. 606 was the starting price, and we only went down 2 points. My put's way down. It's 589. So it's, 13, 14 points away. How did that happen? Well, my theory, probably, if you dug into Friday, October 3rd, is we probably had some sort of vol happening, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we could look at the back test real quick, go find October.
There have been some really good weeks for DCs and some really bad ones. Vol has done both things where it's both expanded / stayed sticky and crushed.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't run it till then. So,
right.
Yeah, this is the old one. Sorry. It's going back and forth in my trying to figure out why did that not. Okay. So October, what do we say? October 3rd? Okay. Yeah. So let's look at the VIX during this. Let's look at the life of this trade. Well, you put it on. It's going pretty well. There's a drop in the Qs. The Qs drop. As the Qs drop, there's a pretty big jump in vol, right?
Yep.
And the VIX just continues to get elevated, even though after that drop in the Qs, the underlying stayed pretty much in a range. Well, in some ways, that's the dream. That's the dream, right? The vol got elevated and your price stayed in a range. That's what we all want from our DCs all day long. So again, just kind of showing how you can play around with this stuff, even if you're new to trading and you just started automating. You can look at your trade, go back to your test, and do trade replay and see what it would have looked like from a theoretical, and get a sense of where the price was and things like that. So, any closing thoughts about that trade? Listen, I like that. I like being able to go into the data, and I like being able to show people like you can really do this. Like I've done this trade 60 times quietly. I mean, it's a one lot, just quietly. This is stuff that you can, if you have a small amount of capital and you want to learn options, and you want to automate it. I don't know if I'd suggest any of this stuff without automation, honestly. You need to maybe let it do it for you a little bit. But any closing thoughts about that, guys?
Yeah, I got a quick one on the model. And that's just like we were saying just here. What you can see with the modeling tool as you play with it, that you can see that you don't want the price, especially as you get further out with a DC or whatever, you don't want it to hit the short strike right away. What's the other thing I'd like to back test and say, okay, I'm in let's say a mixed month trade, and early in the trade, we go down and we have a day where the VIX pops up more than you would think, right? And you get, maybe a 15, 20% profit much sooner than you thought, right? Now, you want to test this, right? But maybe one of the ideas is,
for sure.
Yeah, similar to test it. Well, what if if I have 4 calendars on, what if I peeled off one?
Yeah.
Right? Because I got this gift. Where VIX really ratcheted. I shouldn't be up on a 14 by 28. I shouldn't be up 20% in 2 days or 1 day. And maybe I'll take off 1 or 2. And you can test. So same principle, right, Matt and Troy? You can test that. Should I?
Yeah, you would just do time actions and adjust the profit target. And I do that on a lot of DCs, because there are times when it's like it happens infrequently, but consistently enough. Say 5% of the time, it will hit this profit target. It'll hit on a longer term DC. I'm just giving an instance off the top of my head, not an actual back test, but say I'm doing a 2-week DC, it hits 20% within the first 2 days. And that may happen 5% of the time, but it makes the back test better. Then I'll do that for sure. Because like you're saying, it happens infrequently, but you can tell through back testing, if you have a large enough data sample, that if it happens, once every 3 months, once a quarter, you can expect to get an early profit, because vol is doing something uncommon. Then it certainly makes sense to. One question, I want to talk about this for a second, if you guys don't mind. Do the exit when tested conditions lower the risk of assignment? Well, I'm going to help you solve this one, detective. I'm going to make you live up to your name because you're a detective. So assignment is simply when you get assigned either long or short the shares. And so that can happen anytime, but 99.x% of the time, it's going to happen when it's in the money. And so what do the exit when tested legs do? They just exit when something's a certain amount in the money. So is that going to lower the risk of assignment? Yes or no? Yes, by a lot. The typical assignments with the Qs and SPYs and the typical bad exits people have with SPX are when legs do not have rails and people let them go, 100, 200, 300 in the money on SPX, or 10, 20, 30 on SPY or the Qs. So yes.
Listen, I love it. I think we're onto it. I think we're going to keep going with it. I think we're going to make it better. Side note, I was just doing a quick news scroll, a little breaking news. Trump fired off 150 tweets between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. this morning.
What if quick listen, we're so deep in backtesting. We've futures up 15. I think they were up 20 something earlier.
Yeah. VIX traders in turmoil. There we go. All right. Markets open. Let's get going. Have a great